One of the most common problems encountered by Mac users is duplicate photos in their photo libraries. So today I'm going to show you how to use one of my favorite tools, which will easily find and remove those pesky dupes. Coming up next on Tech Talk America. Hello everyone and welcome to the class. Today I'm going to teach you how to use my favorite utility for finding and eliminating duplicate photos. A little app called PowerPhotos. You can't get it in the App Store, but I do have a link for you down below in the video description, and you can save yourself 10% when you use the promo code TECHTALK10, all one word. In the interest of full disclosure, this is not a sponsored video. I only review apps that I actually recommend, and I've been recommending PowerPhotos to my clients for years. Now, we did recently start an affiliate relationship, but like I said, I would never be doing any type of business with these guys if I didn't actually believe in the product. The big problem that I have with a lot of the other duplicate removing apps out there is that they do not take into consideration whether or not you've organized one of the duplicate photos into an album. So even if it is able to successfully identify and remove one of those duplicates, it can also really screw up the organization of your photo albums in the process. Why do I bring this up, you ask? Thanks to a new update, if PowerPhotos discovers that one of those photos has already been organized into an album, it will automatically keep that relationship intact. It's like a therapist for your photo albums. When you first download PowerPhotos, you will initially find it here in your Downloads folder, so I would recommend that you start by dragging it and dropping it into the Applications folder. Now, before we proceed, there is one setting that you may need to change in Photos in order to get accurate results. And just to be clear, you only need to do this if you use iCloud to store your photos, which I do recommend. So let's now open up the Photos app, and if you're following along at home, I want you to click on where it says Photos at the very top left, and then we're going to go into Preferences. From here, let's click over to the iCloud tab, and while I normally recommend optimizing your photo library in order to free up space, in order for PowerPhotos to accurately scan for duplicates, you are going to need to temporarily change this option to Download Originals. After you've made that change, I want you to go into the main Photos library and scroll down to the very bottom. You'll know that the download process is done when you see a status message that says updated with a date and timestamp. And just to be clear, after you're done running this utility, I strongly encourage you to come back to these settings and change your iCloud back to optimized. It's a great way to prevent accidentally overstuffing your hard drive. To run a duplicate scan, just click on the magnifying glass icon here at the top. You'll now see all of the different search options, and what I would recommend that you do is start by first running PowerPhotos on just the default settings. And depending on what types of results you get, I recommend that when you're done, you might want to consider coming back here and try running it again with different search parameters. Part of the reason why this is a good idea is because there are many different ways that one can end up getting duplicate photos. And the perfect combination of these settings that works best for you is going to depend on how those photos got there in the first place. So for now, let's just run a first scan on the default settings and we'll see how it does. Now that the first scan is over, you can see that PowerPhotos has automatically marked one photo as a keeper and at least one photo as a duplicate. Photos that are identified as keepers have a checkbox over them, and duplicate photos will have a trash can icon. You can try selecting different rules in the Auto Choose Keepers section, or if you want to manually choose a different keeper, just select the photo and then tap the return key on your keyboard. One trick I did want to mention is that if your vision isn't quite what it used to be, you should know that you can see a full screen preview of any of these images just by simply double clicking on them. This right here is the option that I referenced earlier, where if you have two duplicate photos, but one of them has already been organized into an album, it will replace the deleted photo with the corresponding keeper in order to keep the album intact. If your Mac is running macOS Catalina or later, you can delete the duplicate photos just by clicking Trash Duplicates at the top right. Now, that being said, if your Mac is running an older operating system, PowerPhotos will now place all of those duplicate photos into an album, which will be called PowerPhotos Duplicate Trash. So if that applies to you, after PowerPhotos has finished moving those photos into this album, you're going to want to select all, which you can do by pressing Command and the A key on your keyboard. Then to send those photos to the trash, just press Command and the Delete key. Keep in mind, if you do want to immediately reclaim that space, you'll now need to navigate into Recently Deleted and select Delete All. You remember how earlier I mentioned that there are several different ways that you can end up getting duplicate photos? Well, one of the ways that this can happen is if you accidentally import thumbnail images of your photos back into the Photos library. So for example, if you take a look at these two images here, you can see that while visually they are in fact the same image, they have very different file sizes and of course very different resolutions. Now, in my experience, this type of duplicate situation usually, not always, but usually happens when someone switches from a PC to a Mac and the tech who does the data transfer doesn't know what they're doing. Not that I'm referring to anyone specific. Geek Squad. While PowerPhotos cannot automatically remove this type of duplicate since they do have very different file names and sizes, I would like to teach you a workaround. So what I want you to do is to open up your default library here in PowerPhotos. Then we're going to switch the view settings to list view. And now we're going to secondary click in this toolbar here at the top in order to reveal a few extra sorting options. And what I want you to do is to add in the option to sort your photos by file size. Here's the reason why. Because all thumbnails are a fraction of the size of their counterparts, when you go to sort your photos by file size, they will naturally all fall together. Now, in my experience, thumbnail images are usually under 300 kilobytes. Not always the case, that's just from my own observations. So what I would recommend you do is look for any files that are under that file size. One thing I do want you to be aware of is that when you go to sort your photos by file size, PowerPhotos then has to calculate the size of every photo in the background. So I want you to have the expectation that when you go to do this sorting option, you might find that it takes a minute to do everything, so just give it a second to process everything. Now all I need to do is select the first item in this list, then I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and then I'll click on the last item that I want to remove, and now on my keyboard I can hit Command and the Delete key to send those files directly to the trash. Once again, if your Mac is running an older operating system prior to Catalina, instead you can just secondary click and you should see an option to add these images to an album. From there, you'll just need to navigate to that album, select all, and then send those files to the trash. Another key feature of PowerPhotos is the ability to merge multiple photo libraries into one. Now, we're not really going to dive into that today, but what I did want to acknowledge is that if you need to do that, the fact that PowerPhotos at the same time is going to search for duplicates during that merge makes it really appealing. One other quick note on merging libraries: depending on how many photos you have, you might want to consider temporarily locating that new library on something like an external hard drive, especially if you're running low on disk space. Before we go, I do want to give you a quick preview of my video for next week. If you have pre-digital photos, negatives, or slides that need to be digitized, you're going to want to tune in, because I'm going to teach you how to use a trio of apps which will allow you to use your iPhone to digitize them with amazing efficiency. So stay tuned. If this video helped you, you can really help me out by simply hitting that thumbs up like button, leave me a little well-constructed comment down below, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching, everyone. This is David A. Cox with Tech Talk America. Class dismissed.